Alright guys, we're back. You're gonna see some big differences here in the tank. I added several other males who are potentially larger than most of the males I had in here. One thing we talked about in the last video that was kind of taboo, or you gotta watch out for as you're a beginner is I said as you're a beginner, if you're a beginner, is same types of males. Now that's a red shoulder. That's a red shoulder. He's the most dominant one. Beautiful. And he's the second most dominant red shoulder, who has some different gene patterns. That's a OB dragon blood. And then we have a traditional OB peacock. He did have blue on his face. He toned it down a little bit, probably because of the more dominant red shoulders. And you see they quarrel a little bit. They fuss with each other a little bit, long as one stays out the other one's way. But the only time you can really, one of the rare cases you can get away with this is these three guys were raised together. I know that because of the breeder I got them from. So they were raised together. That's why they seem to tolerate each other a little more. They're not fighting as much, but yeah, so a lot of times I've seen where you get fish that are of the same species like this who weren't raised together, they really fight. So that's something to watch out for. But sometimes you could throw them in the water and man, he's a stunner. Sometimes you could throw them in the water and they could get along just fine. It really just depends on the temperament and the sizes. Now you can see the big guys are pretty much keeping the little guys at bay somewhat. You'll see them chase each other a little bit every now and then, but for the most part, they're pretty mellow. The OB Ali still stunting a little bit, but just watching his tail, so to speak. But yeah, so I'm building here. The other thing we must talk about is substrate. Now you'll see I have a dusting layer of sand on here because it's just easier to clean maintenance wise. But everyone always talks about sand versus gravel versus this versus that. In my video on how to add sand to your aquarium, which I'll keep promoting that and putting it below, because I always get a new person who said, I wish I would have known this before I dumped sand in my tank. You really have to be mindful of the amount of sand you're going to add, because fish waste and things of that nature, old food, can get caught up in the sand and it can cause pockets, toxic pockets, and that could really hurt your fish. You have to move the sand around so that if the fish don't dig it up themselves, which sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, you really have to be mindful of that and clean very well. I just did this because I planned on stocking this tank heavy, so it's easier to keep clean. So that's just a little piece of advice for you guys. And as you can see, I brought bacteria over from my more established tank, so that's what these stock you can use, like a woman's stocking, or media filter bags, all kind of stuff. So that makes it easy to start new tanks. I have crushed coral over there and some seashells and things of that nature, so that also helps to keep the pH up. Sand, I always went with sand over gravel. Only time I used gravel when I was a beginner and didn't know too much better, because sand microscopically has a larger surface area, so you're automatically always going to have more bacteria in your tank, beneficial bacteria, that is, more beneficial bacteria in your tank than gravel or anything of that nature. So it's just it's a smarter choice, just being honest. But we'll jump over to my OB Lawanda tank and you'll actually see I put a little bit more sand in there. It's a smaller surface area, 40 breeder. So yeah, that's what I did. We'll jump over there. So here we are at the OB Luanda. Let me turn off the other tank light so it won't be a glare. That's the breeder male right there. He has some small Madoka white lips in here. The sand here is much thicker, so of course, you know, more bacteria will gather in that sand. But I also added a hang-on back filter. That's the Aquaclear 70. I'll put all this in the description. The Aquaclear 70 is a good deal on that right now, depending on where you look. I'll direct you to some links. But yeah, and it's doing this tank just fine. It's rated for almost double this tank, probably more than double this tank. So yeah, it's doing just fine. But yeah, they seem to get along well as tank mates. I'll just watch them as they continue to grow up. And I have a divider to divide this tank up, and I was thinking about putting the Luanda male with the female so he won't bully the white lips so much. But so far so good. I have no complaints. But make sure you get yourself some Seachem PRIME. That's going to not only take the chlorine and things of that nature out of the tap water when you add it back in, if you're not using well water, and it's also going to suppress the nitrates and nitrites, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see here. I just put it in the water these days. Yep. And it detoxifies the ammonia. It detoxifies the ammonia and the nitrates and nitrites as well. So that is a game changer. When I'm adding new fish, I add it to the water. When I do a water change, I add it to the water, and a capful is about 50 gallons worth. So it's very powerful, and it comes through in the clutch. I love it. So you know, definitely get you some Seachem PRIME. There's various other things you can add. Again, I'll put starting your own aquarium, starting your first aquarium, that video I did, I'll put that below, because I go over a lot of the different products and things you want in the process of starting your own aquarium. If you don't have any friends to just give you some of their beneficial bacteria in the substrate, which that can be a struggle. I went through that, and I just had to do it on my own. Filtration, we were just talking about the Aquaclear 110 on here. Since I am overstocking the 60 breeder I have here, which is essentially a low 75 gallon, it's just a short 75 gallon. 75 gallon is a couple inches higher. I'm going to put a Fluval FX4 on there. I already have it. So there's some deals on that, like all the time. You can catch deals on that. I'll share some links below. Yeah, I'm going to put one of those on there, and it's going to really give me over filtration for that 60 breeder and those big males you just seen. We'll go ahead and take one more look at those guys before we get out of here. But yeah, I can't wait to put that on. So yeah, the FX4 will be going on here. Fluval, if anyone from the company happens to come across this video one day, we really need a decent alternative to those clips that snap on. If you found one, get in the comments below, let me know. That's the only thing I dread with these FX canisters. I have about 3 of them or so. Is taking those clips off the rim of your tank can be a nightmare, and I've broken many clips and had to order more, etc., etc. I've also, the intake for the Fluval FX series, it snaps in half, which is convenient to clean, but sometimes the clips on the side get broke, so I've had to order another one of those before. So it can be a little frustrating with those things, and that's just one of the few things I don't love dealing with the FX canisters. But that's like the only gripe I have. Other than that, it's a great filtration system. I have one of the old FX5s, if I'm not mistaken, still running on one of the Frontosa tanks in there, which we'll be getting to that. A lot of people's been asking how they're doing. They're doing just fine, getting big, of course. And yeah, I'll be doing a video on them in the near future. But yeah, I just wanted to bring you guys some more things. Same types of males, look-alike males. You got to watch out for that. And I know you see me doing it here, but these fish are like brothers. They grew up together, so it seems to be working out. So far so good. If that changes, I'll let you guys know. We went over the substrate, you know, sand. I've always done sand. You can do, this is pretty much a bare bottom tank. You can do bare bottom tanks, but it helps you stay on top of your maintenance. So and then we talked about filtration and Seachem PRIME. You can't go wrong with that. So I appreciate you guys' time. I really appreciate you guys' time. And any questions, please get down in the comments below. I don't know everything. Enlighten me for a change. I'd love to hear some of the different things you guys do with your tanks. Okay, you guys have a great evening. I appreciate all the love. I appreciate, you know, you guys supporting the YouTube shorts I put up, which are like a prelude to some of these videos. I just appreciate the support all around the board. We're going for 1 million views, Frontosa for life. We're a couple hundred grand away, but we're closer than we were yesterday or the day before or last year. So thank you. If it's your first time here, hit that subscribe button. We got much more to come. So have a great evening, guys, and I hope you enjoy the fish.